Hello and good morning. My name is Julian Podgórski. I am a PhD student at the Institute of Geophysics of Polish Academy of Sciences. And today, for the International Space Day, I want to tell you about asteroids, meteorites, all the kinds of space rocks. All those names sound quite familiar, like meteor and meteorite, but they actually mean different things. And today I want to tell you the story of those space rocks and what are the differences between them. We will start our trip in space with an asteroid, which is also known as planetoid. It is a very big celestial body which is located in space. It's orbiting around the Sun, just like planets do, and it is very big. Their size range from several hundreds of meters up to even 1,000 kilometers, so they can become very big space rocks who are orbiting around the Sun. If one of those were to hit Earth, which happens very rarely, it would cause a global catastrophe. An example of such event was the extinction of dinosaurs, which probably was caused by an impact of a huge planetoid. Another kind of very similar one to asteroid is meteoroid. It is a space rock that's located in space and it's orbiting the Sun just like planetoid do, but it is very small. It is usually assumed that to qualify as meteoroid, a space rock has to be smaller than 10 meters. So they are already quite small and their impacts are actually rather harmless to Earth. Those two kinds are mostly in our solar system concentrated in the asteroid belt that is located between the orbits of Mars and Jupiter. This is where most of them are orbiting, and sometimes as a result of impacts between each other, or collisions, or interaction with other celestial bodies, some of them gets kicked out of this area and sent toward other planets of our solar system. The third kind of space rock I'd like to tell you about is a comet. A comet is in a way similar to asteroid and meteoroid, that they are orbiting around the Sun, but the important feature is that their orbit is very eccentric. It means that for some part of their trip around the Sun, they get really close. They can cross orbits of Jupiter or Mars, and then for the rest of their trip, they can travel as far away as beyond the orbit of Pluto. A comet is usually made of ice and some amount of rock, contrary to asteroids and meteoroids, which are mostly rocks. And this means that they are carrying behind them a comet tail. A comet tail is usually composed of gases, of ice, and very many small meteoroids. Now that we know what awaits us in space, we can go on back to Earth to speak a little bit about what happens when some of these things cross our path, cross the path of the Earth. A meteoroid that went on collision path with Earth and is going to hit it has to pass through atmosphere. We have to remember that Earth, being a rocky planet, is a rocky planet, but it also has an atmosphere, which is a layer of gas that's surrounding it. And everything from meteoroids to planetoids that wants to hit the Earth has to pass through this gaseous atmosphere. When doing so, they are subjected to very strong friction because the impact is done at very high speed, which causes them to heat up and partially melt. It also means that pieces of those meteoroids that enter the atmosphere are being torn away from them, so that small pieces also appear. Most of them are also heated very strongly. They are heating up when passing through atmosphere, and we can observe it, we on the surface, as the shooting stars, those bright traces that are going behind a meteoroid are actually called meteors. And these are the bright streaks that are left behind a piece of rock that's passing through atmosphere because it's heating up, burning and melting. Now, most of meteoroids that enter the atmosphere are actually completely burned down before they reach the Earth. So they pose no danger whatsoever because they just don't reach the surface. But some of them are big enough to get down to Earth even despite being reduced in size during passing through atmosphere. And once a piece of rock actually hits the Earth, it produces a crater, a nice crater that is on the Earth. And this piece of rock that's left on the Earth that has managed to pass from space down to the surface is called meteorite. A meteorite is only the piece of rock that can be found on Earth, but that has come from space. They are usually rather small, not bigger than, say, a fist of a person, and even the bigger ones can be carried by a pair or a couple of people. But of course, once a huge planetoid hits the Earth, the splinters can become really, really big. But as I said, those catastrophic events happen very, very rarely. The great majority of meteorites that reach the Earth land in the ocean or on the deserts, so they pose no danger to humans whatsoever. But it also means that it's much harder for geologists and scientists to find them. I hope you have learned something interesting about the space rocks and their travel from space to the Earth. Thank you for your attention and goodbye.